with that said, let's go ahead and bring Sarah Larsen up onto the screen. Hey, Sarah, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks. So
Good.
excited to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting to finally have the day here, and this is an event that I've been putting together. I probably had it in the works in my mind for a few months, and I really started putting together the lineup of speakers and topics probably just a couple weeks ago. But I reached out and I asked the question. I said, "Who wants to be on, and what would you speak about?" And I always try to pull in different speakers, different topics, different backgrounds, and whatnot. And I'm not sure if you messaged me or if I messaged you first, but we agreed to have you come on. And I said, "What do you want to talk about?" Oops, wrong topic. Hold on. That's another one. And you said, let's talk about creating systems and processes to save time and money. So before we jump into that, if you could, Sarah, take a moment, tell us a little bit about what you do and what your business is all about.
Yes, of course. So I'm Sarah Larsen. I am a business systems coach. And I like to say, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I host a podcast called The Hook with Sarah Larsen. So I'm a podcast host. I am a fur mom and I love my coffee. So those are some things about me.
Talk about fun things. You got the business, like how the money's coming in. You got the fur mom. So when you said fur mom, was it a dog or a cat or what are we talking
I have
here?
a dog. She's a husky. Not as sassy as some of the ones you see on the videos, the viral videos, but she does sass us. So,
Oh, I love it. And I'm a dog mom now too. So now that I'm
um,
in, I feel like I'm a part of a club. Like when you're a
yeah,
dog owner, you become part of this club and you understand like, your the way that your dog looks at you and the needs they have and their personality. Shout out to all the fur moms and dads and
yeah,
but let's talk about our animals. Let's talk about business here. So, Sarah, you're going to be sharing us some great tips on creating systems and processes to save you time and money. Now, before I pull myself off screen, I think you have something
yeah,
you're going to share with us. So, I'm going to make sure that share is working properly, and
yes,
then I'll pull myself off. So, why don't you go ahead and try to click on that share? While you're doing that, I want to remind our audience as you're watching throughout the day, please jump into the comments and maybe you know someone who might benefit from watching this event today, go ahead and tag them in and say, "Hey, Brenda Meller, come and check this out." Like, not me, because I'm already on, but you know what I mean? Like, tag them into the comments and let them know. And even if they don't see your notification right away, they'll see the playback later, and then there might be something really valuable for them here. So, all right, Sarah, I think we've got this going. So, I think
great,
that looks right for you. So, I'll pull myself off screen and I'll be back in about 20 minutes and then we'll start to do some Q&A. Sound good?
fantastic. Thank you. And I really appreciate Brenda inviting me to be here. And so before we get started, I know I shared a little bit about myself, but I want to give you an idea of why I am consider myself kind of a systems person. So, just to give you a little background again, I'm a business systems coach. I host a podcast called The Hook with Sarah Larsen. I interview and have conversations with entrepreneurs, and we talk about the challenges that I call disruptions that can be good and bad that we come across in life. And so that's my podcast. But I also spent 20 years in the mortgage industry. Um, I have 7 years of manufacturing experience. And as I said earlier, I call myself a serial entrepreneur because I've started 6 different companies. Now, all of them haven't made it because discovered that they weren't quite the right thing. I maybe wanted to try something else. And so I have dabbled in quite a number of different categories of business as well. And I have 45 plus years creating systems and processes. Now, I'm 52, so that's quite a long time. And where did I come up with that number? I'm going to share with you that when I was in first grade, I got the chicken pox and I had to stay home from school for 2 weeks where I was so bored. I mean, can you imagine at that age, nobody to play with and that kind of thing? I created a game for my class that included flashcards to help with reading skills. And I wrote out the instructions and I sent the whole thing into the school to my teacher. She said they played it while I was out, but it was never brought up again. So who knows? But that was the very first system of writing out a process and creating these cards and all of that. But I didn't really discover my innate ability to create systems until my husband and I ran a manufacturing company that we owned. So we made custom products with thousands of possible variations, and we also contracted with the government. So if you can imagine, the efficiency of time and money was extremely important. And because we were a small business and didn't have a lot of extra cash to invest in the software programs that we used, I had to create a lot of customizations for our platforms as well. So I created all the processes from start to finish that we needed to run our business and create our product. And I had to create systems from taking orders in, getting the custom orders into our manufacturing floor, then getting the finished products into our warehouse and getting them shipped to our customers, and all on time. So it was really fun. And that's when I sort of discovered I really enjoyed that. I wrote a lot of SOPs, so standard operating procedure, so that everybody did things the same way. And I just really enjoyed it. And so that's my systems background. And the next thing I want to talk about here is, what are systems? So the word systems can sometimes sound a little rigid and constricting. So I looked up some definitions. And one of them is a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. So think software programs that you use for your business to offer digital courses or your one-on-one coaching sessions. The other definition that I found was a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. So this could be your procedures, your processes that you use in your business and that you share with your employees if you have any. Some other things that you might not have thought about: data is a system. We use spreadsheets and collect data to learn about our business. Those are systems. Organization, whether it's physical or digital, or in your mind, which is something that we're going to talk about, that is a system. Habits are a system. You need to set up a trigger to cause you to do the habit that you're trying to instill. So that's a type of system. And everybody loves a good life hack. And so I'm going to share some of those with you toward the end of my presentation. But hacks are also systems. They're just ways of doing things to make life easier for ourselves. So I want you to think a little broader when it comes to systems. And these are all things that I love working with. So one of the things that you may have experienced is this, what I like to call the storm in your head, where your mind is just going with all of the things as an entrepreneur that you need to do, especially in the early days of your business. I'm trying to grow and I need to do things. So maybe you're thinking about a blog or a newsletter. You know, you need to pay your taxes. You know, you need to save for the taxes. You need to create some offers so that you can make some money. Maybe you're thinking about photos or hiring a virtual assistant. These are all the things that are swirling around in your head. And maybe the problem is you don't know what to do first. And so you kind of get stuck. And it sounds like Macarena talked a little bit about this, and I missed most of her presentation as I was on the road. But this is the idea of, when you get stuck, what do you do? And so this is where I begin. If things are keeping you up at night, you're not sleeping well, we begin, and this is a practice that I do with every new coaching client, and you can do it anytime you're feeling overwhelmed with everything you need to do and you aren't sure where to begin. So that is a brain dump. And so if you have felt that tornado in your head, this is where I suggest you begin. And it's a great way to declutter and organize your mind. So like I said, you can do this anytime you feel overwhelmed or stuck, or you feel that paralysis because you don't know where to begin. and you don't know what to do next. It's amazing how quickly you feel calmer when you start to get these things out of your head. And it's a pretty small ask to get a better night's sleep. So, getting everything out of your head is the first step and getting it onto paper. So, write down every single thing that comes to your mind of, I need to do that. I need to do that. Oh, yeah, that's something I should do. Okay, I committed to the speaking engagement. So the things that you've already committed to, you want to put down, things that you feel like you should do, you need to put down, things that you want to do, put that on your list and get it all out of your head. And this can be just scribble it out on paper in any order, random. If you're a more organized thinking process, maybe a list is better, or a mind map. That's the graphic that you see here, where you've got this central idea, and then everything else comes out from there. So just different ways that you can do this, but just getting it all out. What it's going to do is give you a macro view of the things you've been thinking about. And then you'll start to see themes. Once you start to see the themes, you'll find that what you thought was a million things to do is really just a few big projects that all of the little tasks that are part of those projects are swirling around. But if you can break down the projects into those tasks, then you can see, oh, okay, my next step is this. And it becomes easier to begin when you can see what the small first step is. So you're probably also going to see some random things. You'll see I've got them off to the sides here. Call mom, book a doctor's appointment, get my oil changed. These are random things that you might be procrastinating, but guess what? They are leaking energy from you because they're constantly in the back of your mind, taking up space. If you can just get these on a list and bang them out quickly, get them done and close up those leaks so that you can spend your energy on more important projects. So here I created some categories that maybe you've been thinking about as an entrepreneur. You have offers that you need to do. Maybe you were thinking about hiring that VA and you're thinking about how you need to prepare for tax season. Well, those are all money related. So I sort of categorize them in the money category. And then, of course, there's content, blog, podcast, social media, and your photos might fall into that. Or maybe the photos fall into marketing because that's how you get your word out about your business in addition to your content. So there's some ideas there as well. And again, each of those things has a broader list, a smaller step-by-step list of things that need to be done for them. But now you can see what's been swirling around in your head. And by breaking them down, they just become less overwhelming. So the next step is, once you've gotten it all down on paper, it's time to start prioritizing. And prioritizing by the bigger project. So I like to use these categories: do, delete, and delegate. And chances are you wrote down some things that just aren't important. Okay, let me clarify what I mean by that. They aren't important to you, the shoulds. These are the things that you see other people doing that you've been told are important to your business or to your business growth. Or maybe it's things that will make you look like you're doing it all to the other parents in your kids' class. These are the things that may work for somebody else or may be important to somebody else. But since we're all unique, you need to know the difference between what is for you and what is not for you. And keep in mind that the season of your life also affects your priorities. And so they may be different next month or next year. So let me share an example. I value connection. So I find it important to spend time with my friends, and for my business, it's a priority for me to meet new people regularly. One of the reasons I made time to be part of this event is that I know I will connect with new people. And regardless of whether those people will become acquaintances, friends, clients, podcast guests, or any combination of those, it's worth my time. So think about what is important to you and your values and delete the tasks that don't align with your values. If it's not important to you to appear on social media every single day, then don't. There are plenty of ways to promote your business that may feel more aligned for you. So, for instance, in my example here on the screen, you can see that I suggested deleting podcasting and maybe paid advertising. Well, maybe you see that everybody's doing a podcast and you feel like you should do one too. But if you don't have the passion for it, then that's probably not something that is worth doing. And so, or maybe it's not something that you need to do right now. Maybe it's something for the future. But just know that not everything is for you. Um, Another example, if you don't enjoy baking and it's not important to you or your kids, then save yourself time and just buy the cookies or cupcakes to take to the class party. So, the other thing I want you to think about is when you say yes to one thing, you have to say no to something else because we don't have enough time to do everything. So, if you know your values and you run every action through them, you'll find it much easier to say no to the things that don't matter to you so that you can say yes to the things that do. Um, Delegation is underrated. All right, so let's talk about delegation. It's underrated, but it's a great way to get tasks that you aren't particularly good at or that you don't enjoy doing off your own list. So, who can you assign those to? Maybe your spouse can help out with making that doctor's appointment or finding a tax accountant to help you out. Money can be a sore subject, but paying somebody else to do something like your bookkeeping or house cleaning or website design might be worth every penny if it means that you get to spend time with your family or doing the things in your business that either you're really good at or you really enjoy, like helping your clients. So, some things to think about when it comes to delegation. And time is also that commodity that you have to consider when you're making your do list. So, chances are you don't have time to do everything on your list immediately. And maybe you are planning a specific time period. I like to plan 90 days at a time. Life happens and things come up. So, your plans might change. Your goals might change. Your season of life might change. And that changes your priorities. So I like to plan for a shorter period of time so that I can adjust and make it a pretty quick adjustment. So it's a good idea to estimate the time that it's going to do to take the things on your to-do list, sort them in order of priority, and then compare them to your calendar to determine the amount of time you realistically have available to you. You know, are you working a full-time job in addition to your business? Are you taking vacation time that you need to account for? Did you account for the fact that you might not feel spectacular every single day? Maybe you need to account for some sick time. So when we're planning, it helps to create a buffer of the time. And usually projects take longer than we really think they're going to, unless we've done it many, many times and know how long it takes. So if you're trying something new, I recommend overestimating that time. So there are some projects that may need to wait a few months. So in my example here, I said, okay, let's forward writing a book and getting your branding photos done for another time in the future. And so having a place that you can park those ideas is fantastic. And whether you do that on paper, whether you do that digitally, I recommend having a place where you keep track of those things so that when you do have the time available, or the next time you're sitting down to plan and you've done, or the next time you've done a brain dump, what are the things that you might want to incorporate into your process next time? So, of course, you can do all of these things yourself to organize your time or your mind to make life simpler. But if you're like me and you like a little guidance and you're more likely to create systems with a little accountability, I have two things to help you out. And the first one is my guide to freedom in life and business. And it's a step-by-step process of this brain dumping, so that you can stop that swirling storm in your head that causes paralysis, and it allows you to take action. I find that action promotes clarity. A lot of times we think that clarity is going to define our action, but I find that the other way works. When it's time to make a decision, you need to make a decision, and you're going to get clarity whether you made the right decision or not. So either you're going to learn from your success, or you're going to learn a lesson from having made the wrong decision. But one way or another, you're going to get clarity from that. So keep that in mind. And so this is one of the things that I'll share in the links that Brenda will be providing to everyone at the end. And so I promised some hacks, and everybody loves a good hack that will save them time and or money, right? So these are from some great productivity folks that I follow. So the first one is from David Allen with his book, Getting Things Done. And that is number one, touch once. So for example, if you open an email and you're able to provide an answer immediately and can complete that, or if you're being tasked with something that you can finish in 2 minutes, do it now. And then delete or file that email and move on. If it's going to take longer than 2 minutes, put it on your to-do list right then. Have your to-do list ready so that you can move it there, however that looks for you, and move on so that you're never touching that email again. And again, once you put it on your to-do list, move the email someplace like a follow-up folder or flag it, whatever it takes, however that process would work for you. So number two is, where's my note? Number two is set a timer. So if you have a daunting, I thought I had somebody to reference that too, but really it's something I've heard from multiple people. And if you have a daunting task to accomplish, which there isn't really a time limit as far as when it needs to be done, such as organizing your email or sorting through digital files on your computer or sorting through photos on your phone. That one, I am definitely, it's just a big old mess right now. Decide on the method of organization that you're going to use and then work on it in small increments. So maybe you decide once a week I'm going to work on this, set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes and stop when it goes off. And if you get in a groove and want to keep going, great. But if not, you did your 10 minutes for the week, let it go. There's no urgent deadline on it. You can do another 10 minutes next week. And it just makes it a lot easier to attack one of those things that seems really humongous in an easier baby step kind of way. All right, so number three comes from Kendra Adachi's Lazy Genius Way. I love her and these questions that she asks, or the steps of the Lazy Genius Way. She says, decide once. And so you're saving yourself from decision fatigue. And here's an example. If coming up with meals for your family is exhausting to the point that you're constantly turning to takeout at the last minute, then maybe consider making a weekly menu that you use every week. And so you do Spaghetti Monday and Taco Tuesday, or just choose a meal for each day that your family can agree on or that they'll eat. What's going to happen is that you always know what ingredients to buy at the grocery store, and you're going to get really good at those recipes so that it comes to, you don't have to think about it. It's not like you're trying out new recipes every week or trying to come up with new meals. It works for your schedule too. So in business, when you're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do this week? Maybe Monday is the day you create all your social media posts, get them out of the way. Tuesday is for client calls and meetings. Or maybe you decide once that you will work out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So think about Steve Jobs' wardrobe choice. Remember, he saved himself from decision fatigue by wearing the same thing every single day. So these are ways that you can decide once and never have to think about. And
Hey,
if you have
Sarah,
trouble, yeah.
I'm going to jump in real quick because I see that we've got our next speaker, Nakia Young, who's in the
Oh,
green
great.
room. Do you mind if I pull
Okay.
her up on screen? We're just going to do a quick audio check
Yes.
for you, Nakia, just to make sure you can see and hear us properly. Hey, Nakia, how are you today? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I'm good. How are you?
All right, doing great. I'm going to move you back in the green room and we'll be back with you in just a few
We'll
minutes here,
wrap
but I
up.
wanted to do that quick audio check here, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right,
Perfect.
we'll move you back in here. All right, awesome. And Sarah, I know we could definitely spend a lot more time going through. I want
Yes.
to make sure maybe we'll finish off on hacks and then we'll do a couple Q&A. Would that
Yes.
be okay with you?
This
Okay,
is
great.
the end. So I was there. But the last one, the last hack that I suggest is getting an accountability partner, because if you're like me and it's hard to keep appointments with yourself, but you keep them with other people, setting an appointment and just either meeting up with somebody in person or on Zoom and working at the same time, whether you're working on the same thing or whether you're working on different things, is really helpful. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about other things that I offer.
Okay. Well, let's pull a couple comments up on screen here too.
Sure.
We've had a lot of lively conversation coming in, and I think some people have figured out the hiccup with LinkedIn. It's some people are getting on their phone and not on the desktop. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but for those of
Yeah.
you who did, like Marla said, hey, I used the email to request a replay, but I didn't get confirmation on my end. Make sure you're checking your spam folder or junk folder. Sometimes my emails go in there. I don't know why, because I'm not spam or junk, Sarah. I'm good. Spam
Absolutely.
people, but sometimes they do go in there. And just so you know, Marla, and for others, if you do register for the playbacks, I am pretty good at turning things around quickly, but I can't do it while we're in the call and I need to break out all the segments. So probably within the next day or two, Marla, you'll be getting that email from me where I'll have individual playbacks of each of the speakers, as well as all of the great resources that they had. All right. Sarah, I saw a couple of comments specifically about your talk. And here's one from G who comments a storm in our head. And she says
Yeah.
she's in the exact place right now with early states, things swirling. So glad the segment is working for me. I needed to hear this in this very moment. So anything you want to
Oh,
say to
great.
G about that?
Oh, gee. This has happened to me so many times, which is how I came up with this process. Looking for productivity hacks and just trying to figure out how to take a step forward. But I just know that if you can get everything out of your head and get a clearer view from up here, that it makes it easier to move forward and you can get some clarity on what's most important to you.
That's awesome. And so many people were commenting on the system, like loving everything, the breakdown, the categoric prioritization to help to manage all the tasks, the things that gets done. I did have one question that came in, and someone,
Yeah.
it was Marta actually, who said, and Sarah, do you have any thoughts on apps, digital programs, or software that can help us with organizing or creating systems? Any thoughts there?
Honestly, each person is different. So what works for me might not necessarily work for somebody else, but I will tell you, I have a paper planner and to-do list, and I also have digital calendar on Google and I like to use Trello for tracking bigger projects,
Mhm.
for managing things like organizing a speaking engagement and what I'm going to say and that kind of thing. So those are a few things that work for me, but I also know that I've talked to other people where they have systems that work a little better for them.
All right, awesome. I have my LinkedIn live streaming in another page right now, Sarah. And
Okay.
for those of you who are following me on LinkedIn, you may have been noticing over the past couple weeks, I've noticed I've been thrown into LinkedIn jail a couple times. And I just got an error message from LinkedIn saying my account is temporarily restricted. So if
What?
you're watching on LinkedIn right now, let me know if you're still seeing the live stream. I'm a little bit perturbed, just a little bit right now because I
Yeah.
play by the rules and I train people all the time how to do this, but I think at some instance I did some things that mimic what the bad players are doing. And it was multiple profiles opening up in a window. And it was me doing it. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I did get a note back from LinkedIn saying you can't do that. You can't have multiple profiles open at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I won't do that again. But I just did get a message from LinkedIn saying my account is temporarily restricted. And I don't
Oh
know if
no.
that means the live stream is out too, or if the live stream is continuing. So I'm
Okay.
hoping we're going to keep going here, but I'm just going to do a quick refresh. I'm still getting the same message there. I see the YouTube is still going, so I'm just gonna keep going with this, and I'm gonna assume the live stream is going in LinkedIn, and I just can't see it because I'm in LinkedIn jail. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep my fingers crossed, but at any rate, the playback is still going. We're still here in StreamYard, and they'll be able to get access to the YouTube. So I'm gonna keep going here. I see that Deshelle, commented saying, "Thank you, Sarah. I've gotten away from journaling and list making. This is what's missing for me this time around. Helps to clear the mind." And I think that's what you're looking at, right? Clearing the mind,
Yes.
right?
Clearing the mind. It really creates space to invite new ideas and creativity. So
Yeah.
you're going to find, and I think that's what Deshelle is referring to, is when you do that journaling and list making, it really clears your mind to accept other ideas.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all the audience for dropping the comments in
Yes.
here, and I'm gonna start to wrap us up because I've got Nakia waiting in the green room for us here. But I know that you had a couple freebies and resources. We did pull one up on screen already. And if people want to learn more about working with you, Sarah, what would you suggest? Visiting your website, LinkedIn? What's the best way for us to get a hold of you?
Visit my website. I will admit that I am following some of Brenda's tips on LinkedIn, but I'm not fully all there yet. I have put some of it in play, but I don't have all these links in there quite yet. So the website sarah-larsen.com is a great place to go. This is my LinkedIn profile. You're welcome to connect with me. I'm not a fan of cold selling through email, so please don't do that. I generally ignore those messages.
Awesome. And there's her website address, Sarah-Larsen,
Yes,
LARSEN.com. And thank you Sarah, so much for being patient as we've been working through the little technical
absolutely.
hiccups here on LinkedIn
Hey,
today.
it happens.
The good thing is through the power of video editing, I'm going to clip all of that out and we're going to have a nice solid talk without all the mentions of sports out
Exactly.
there. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for being a part of today. We
Thanks
really do
for having me,
appreciate it.
Brenda. It was so
All right. And
fun.
Sarah, if you're gonna pop in, try to go on LinkedIn first and then
I
maybe email
will.
me and letting me know if the live stream's still coming up. If not, the email will have the YouTube link that you can join in there
Okay.
for you.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah.